Patreon Q&A number 65. I want to thank all 91. That's incredible, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. I always say it, but you know it by now. I love you guys. So, again, I can't thank you enough. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully. Furukizu K asks, hey, Shonen, perhaps the whole more monsters thing is because of God. It created a monster in Vaccine Man and gave Homeless Emperor his powers. What's to say he couldn't give other powers? Chose a monster cells and gained the energy spheres, which is weird. Perhaps that's because of all of those types of monsters, not aliens, genetically engineered, etc., originated from God. Because the spontaneous cell reaction is a natural process God put in place to F with humanity. There was a D&D campaign that I was a player in, and the gods of the setting had various laws attributed to them, things which seemed to be natural magical disasters, but were actually created and sustained by each individual god. For example, Kord was the god of war, and then his law was a constant countrywide storm that sapped magic from everything. Perhaps this is something similar, God's law perhaps. So I agree with you. I think that it's very likely that this influx of monsters is probably God's doing, because of the way that they just subtly drop it here and there, meaning that it's going to be a more prevalent plot line down the line in the story. And given that it's very likely that God was set up in Chapter 1 with Vaccine Man, and he's probably going to be the big bad at the end of the series, I wouldn't be surprised if it's revealed that like it was his doing and all these monsters. And I do think that he could give other powers as well. I don't think it's set in stone that he just makes Vaccine Man and Homeless Emperors guys, but maybe that's like the really strong dudes that he's capable of making up. But as for Chose, it's possible that that energy sphere is related to him. It's possible, but we just need a little more confirmation, other than Murata just saying that they are all one and the same. I think they're all just probably coming from the same type of power or energy that exists in that world. Maybe it's all connected to God, maybe not. I'm going to make a video about this because this is a subject that definitely needs to be talked about. Like I said, they do say it for a reason, so I think it's more or less probably connected to him. And that's really cool that you have that D&D campaign. I used to play that personally a couple years ago with my friends in high school. It makes me want to play again, actually. Some really good times with that. Bryan asks, hey man, it's time for the best videos of the week, the Q&As. Hey, thanks Bryan, I appreciate that. I wanted to ask you this week about the powers in One Punch Man. We know some heroes get strong by training, Saitama Darkshine, and we know Tatsumaki and Fubuki have natural powers. Some heroes use weapons or gadgets, but then there's some things I don't quite understand. Is Spring Mustachio's sword magic? It appears out of a handkerchief and it bends and stretches. And then Death Gatling gets the black skull over his face when he does his final move. So basically, I'm asking, do some characters have actual superpowers, or all of the abilities from training and or weapons and items they use? So this is a great question. So there are legitimate supernatural special powers in the world of One Punch Man, outside of being an Esper and stuff like that. This was expanded upon in the new OVA, the first OVA that we got for Season 2. We saw that those three dudes that met up on the internet, I already forget their names, but one had like fire powers, one had ice breath, and one could control animals. And these weren't like gag things or anything. They were legitimate abilities that they could use. And it was talking about how like they all met together on a forum for other people that have these supernatural abilities. So even if you don't want to take that OVA for canon, it insinuated or just straight out pointed that Volton, the electrical dude from the Super Fight tournament, was similar to these guys. So he has like a legitimate inherent ability where he can just control electricity or lightning or whatever he can do. So this is a thing in this world. However, with Spring Mustachio, I'm assuming that he's just using like a special type of sword. Probably what he was supplied with by the Hero Association, the same way that Metal Bat was supplied with his weapon, but also Spring Mustachio is one of the disciples of one of the Council of the Sword member guys. So maybe he learned this technique from them. I don't think what he's using is magic. It's probably just a special alloy or material. Similar to Ohm from One Piece and the Skypiea arc. He had like a, Cloud Steel Cloud or something like that, and then it was heated up by the flame dial that he had in the hilt, so it like acted like a whip at times, and then sometimes it was just straight and steady or sturdy. I think it's something like that. I don't think he's using magic. And as for Death Gatling, this is a little more ambiguous, but I'm going to assume that the black skull that we see is just for the audience. Like, it's just like a narrative piece, like to represent like him being cool and signifying that he's using his final attack. I don't think Garo like literally saw like Black Skull come over his face, but it's really up for you to decide in the end. But I don't think there was any magic going into that move. Chance asks, hey Shonen, I have a One Piece question. Do you think there's a chance Nightmare Luffy will return in the story? How would you scale its power to the current Wano arc? Also, it would be cool if he got that buff from Moria and went Gear 4. Just a thought, have a good one. Hey, you too, Chance. So I don't think Nightmare Luffy is going to come back, or at least I should say that I don't. The odds of it are unlikely, in my opinion. I think Nightmare Luffy was just like a fun little thing for that arc, and we're probably not going to see it again. Now, will we see somebody like Nightmare Luffy? Very possible. Moria is back in the story, and it's implied that he has joined the Blackbeard Pirates, so it's possible he might buff someone else with that stuff, or he'll just buff himself again. Maybe go to like 2,000 shadows or something like that. But as for him being, how strong is he currently, like comparing to like Wano dudes, or just the power scale currently in the Wano arc, it's honestly difficult to say. He's very powerful, obviously. Even for pre-time skip, he was no chump. But I would say that, just taking a guess, of course, that maybe he's like Pacifista level, somewhere around there. I don't think he's too strong, and he has no hockey to speak of or anything like that. But just taking a guess, you know, if we're also comparing like Oars Jr. to regular Oars and how that all went down and like Vice Admiral level and all that stuff, I'm just taking a guess. Maybe he's like Pacifista level. I don't think he's any stronger than that, really. I mean, maybe he's like pre-time skip Drake level, something like that. But as for like people in Wano, he would not do well. Like, Wano is just a shark tank. There's very few people there that are not stronger than like what a supernova is considered to be. Flashy Flash asks, my first question is, what threat level would Sonic get if the Monster Cell he ate in Season 2 would work? I think he could be a high dragon, but I'm not sure. So given that he is weaker than Hellfire and Gale in their monster forms, and he's like around their level as humans, maybe a little weaker than them, maybe a little more, I'm going to assume that the highest he's going to go is a mid-dragon, because they don't even become high dragons themselves when they ate monster cells, so I don't think he's going to surpass them, at least at that time in Season 2. And my second question is, why don't you include the Meteor in your strongest videos? I think the Meteor is a solid high dragon. Thanks, bro. Hey, thank you, Flashy Flash, aka Yonatan. So, this is a good question, but I don't want to add the Meteor into stuff like that because it's kind of like an anomaly. It's super ambiguous, and it's just literally like a meteor. But I agree that it probably could be a high dragon, and I'll eventually make a video dedicated to it because this is an intriguing question after all, and it's like, how would it stack up with other people? So yeah, but I think it's obviously a dragon, but maybe a high dragon. And then my question this time is, how would you rank those three characters by speed? The characters are Sonic Webcomic, Hellfire and Gale, Atomic Samurai, Atomic Slash. Thanks, bro. So I think the Atomic Slash is probably going to be number one here. It seems like one of the fastest things, and I don't even think that Hellfire and Gale and Webcomic Sonic might not be able to deal with that thing. So pre-Webcomic Sonic, back in the audiobooks, we saw him encounter Atomic Samurai. Atomic Samurai was like way faster than him. Like, he countered his strike even when he had to jump on Atomic Samurai. So I think that's a good indication right there. So number two is probably Webcomic Sonic. I think he's currently faster than Hellfire and Gale. And I assume that you're talking about Hellfire and Gale from the manga and not from the webcomic, since they're two entirely different characters. But I think he's probably eclipsed them. Maybe even in their monster form, because the way that he was competing with Flashy Flash was probably better than what Hellfire and Gale were, and then they would be three, Hellfire and Gale, in this list. Frozen Meal asks, hey, Shona, your videos really got me hooked on One Punch Man. I've had a question that's been bugging me for a while now. It's a two-part question. Do you see evidence for supernatural materials, stuff that's more durable, more energy dense, etc., than we see in the real world? So I don't really think there's too much evidence for this stuff yet, although I don't think it's unrealistic that we might see something like this. The closest right now, just guessing, I think it's probably like the material that Phoenix Man's costume is made out of. I mean, it was able to absorb the Millennium Emperor Nova and stuff like that. And then you could really take it for what you will with how he ended up getting hacked up, but that's more so into him being defeated rather than its durability. But I think that's definitely a material fitting the requirements of what you're talking about here. But is there anything like, for example, like Sea Stone from One Piece? I don't think we've seen anything like that yet. But given the way that the world works, I assume that there's probably something out there. Some kind of monstrification infected the environment or something and created something new. I think it's possible. And secondly, do you think there is a limit to how strong a machine can get? For example, a rogue AI that was built for combat. Thanks for your time, friend. Hey, thank you for the support, Frozen Meal. So maybe you're talking about Drive Night, maybe you're not, but I think that there's probably a perceived limit to how strong something can become like that. The way that like we perceive the universe. Like the universe probably could expand forever, but it'll eventually die due to heat death, or however that goes. And probably the same thing could be said for here. I think that it's probably limitless, essentially, I'll say, other than time running out or whatever like that. It could just continually get stronger and stronger and stronger. There's probably not a limit to it. Just taking a guess, especially with Drive Knight, by the time he becomes like a big, I'll say the time that his death comes, if it does, he'll probably be above Dragon at that point. He will improve. I fully think that's going to happen. But as for just AI and combat technology and stuff like that, I think there's much room for it to improve, almost to where the point of where it seems like it's endless. Like just right now in our own reality, like our technology has like thousands of years of perceived growth. I mean, if we're talking like, if what Bob Lazar said was true about the aircraft the alien craft that he worked on, then we have a long way to go. Forerunners asks, hey Zoe, it's been a while, but I've got an interesting debate. Who would win, a fresh Boros crew and all of his commanders versus a fresh Monster Association, including the reworked manga onlys like Koketsu, Neon, and Elder Centipede? Personally, I think Boros' entire crew loses, not from power, but from being outnumbered. The real question is Boros versus the Monster Association. So this is actually was the main topic of conversation in last week's Q&A. To give you some cliff notes, basically I agree with you. I think that Boros' crew would lose from being outnumbered. They're just not powerful enough to make up for the discrepancy, and it would come down to Boros versus most of the cadres and Orochi. And he would definitely have to go to Meteoric Burst at that point. So could Meteoric Burst solo all of them? Maybe, maybe not. We saw that Abandonment Bang could one-shot guys like Gums and Fear Ugly. So I think it's fair to say that Meteoric Burst, Boros could definitely one-shot most of them. But also he's going to be dealing with a lot, because even Abandonment Bang was like held still by Psychos and then was carpet bombed by Homeless Emperor. So he's going to be dealing with all that stuff too. So I wouldn't say that like 10 out of 10 times Meteoric Burst Boros can solo all of them with Orochi, but I think he probably gets the job done most of the time. Although I think people are like discrediting the Monster Association with Orochi a little too much in this this matchup here, because yes, Meteoric Burst is outrageous. We all know, we've seen it, but I think if you're just thinking about everyone working together to take him down, like how they would be carpet bombing him with multiple people coming at him and Oroshi's in the mix too, I think it would be way more difficult for him than what you probably would think. Jordan asks, Yo-Yo Shonen, my bad, I haven't posted a question for you in about a month. Just been doing life stuff, paying bills, work, BS like that. Hey, no problem, Jordan. I understand how it is. Trust me, I know the grind of paying bills and all that stuff, so no worries. But I got a little theory for you about Luffy's mom. I know she hasn't been talked about hardly ever, only in an SBS and in an interview, but my theory is that Luffy's mom was a celestial dragon, but because Dragon is a revolutionary after Luffy was born, Dragon had to kill the mother of his child because of certain reasons. That could be any number of reasons, because we all know how messed up the celestial dragons are, or even that might have been the reason that she became a revolutionary. Maybe he was the Marine, or just a random in the One Piece world that a Celestial Dragon fell in love with, and then when found out about the way the Celestial Dragons do thing, the founder of the Revolutionary Army, with some events happening in between, he had to kill the mother of his child. But it's just a little theory. I thought it's a little crazy, but I feel it could work. Let me know who, what, when, where, and why Luffy's mom is. I'm interested to know what you think about Luffy's mom subject. Still appreciate the content. Stay cool, brother. Hey, you too, Jordan. Thank you. So Luffy's mom is a difficult subject to get into, as you stated, because we don't know anything, really, like anything at all. And I think it's odd that she's never talked about. And I'm just going to take a guess, based off of how Oda does things. Maybe it's because he doesn't really care about her, or maybe he doesn't want her to be a focal point of the story or anything like that, because pretty much everything has been talked about at this point, and we have some kind of bearing of nearly everything except her, more or less. So your theory about her being a celestial dragon, it's pretty good, because stuff like this happens all the time in the series, and I really wouldn't be surprised that not only Luffy has a crazy lineage on the male side, but maybe he has like a crazy lineage on the female side of things as well. But my guess is that she's just similar to like Porteous de Rouge, Ace's mom and Roger's lover. She's just some attractive woman that just got caught up with a ultra powerful dude, and then one thing led to another, and then she's just not around anymore. There's another theory that she's a part of the Revolutionary Army and that she had her gender changed by Ivankov to hide in plain sight or something. That's possible too, but my money, I'm putting it on her just being like Porteous de Rouge. She's not really important. She's just kind of an unfortunate woman. Jospeh K asks, hey Shonen, random question. What is the best plot twist or reveal you've come across that blew you away and made you freak out? I do remember freaking out when I first read out Itachi from Naruto was a double agent, but in retrospect, it was probably hype over actually fitting with the story that well. It could be anything you want. Anime, manga, films, books, etc. Merry Christmas. Hey, you too, Jospeh K. Thank you. So, I'm going to get into spoilers for Fight Club here. Anyone else who has not read or watched Fight Club and does not want the twist to be spoiled, skip ahead in the video. So this is going to sound really cliche and bro-y of me, but yeah, the Tyler Durden twist is probably the one that blew me away the most. And that's because I felt it was really well done. Like, super well executed. And that's because you could just go back, rewatch the movie, and see it play out for yourself. And it's just so awesome. Like that, just that experience of the movie, watching it the first time, getting the twist, and then watching it a second time and seeing it all play out. That's honestly, in my opinion, not really that common with twists. Like, twists are kind of just like, oh, cool, that's a twist, that happened. But, like, rarely can you go back and see it unfolding. It kind of just happens. And then you're just supposed to go with it. And that's fine, too. But I really love, like, the Tyler Durden twists like that. Also, the Sixth Sense twist with... spoilers for Sixth Sense if you haven't watched that for some reason. Skip ahead. With Bruce Willis being dead at the end, that's very similar to how you can go back and see it all play out and it makes sense. Very well done, of course. I mean, that just one twist alone made M. Night Shyamalan's career. But I think it's right now the Tyler Durden one. And the Drive Night in One Punch Man recently, that's pretty interesting too. Although it hasn't been confirmed yet, but still kind of blew my mind when he turned out to be what's perceived to be a villain. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 91 of my awesome, incredible patrons. Guys, I can't thank you enough, especially 91. That's amazing. I didn't think I'd get this far, but I'm so thankful for it. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.